checks in the mail that are... Look, here's the deal. Look, here's the deal.
And now, Matt Wright and Spike Cohen.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike Mitzvah Romney Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
Mitzvah Romney. Wow. That is amazing. Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this amazing episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. We are, of course, everywhere on the internet. Everywhere. MuddyWatersMedia.com, all social media, all podcasting platforms. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the various things. And again, hit the bell. If it's on YouTube, hit the bell. I want your phone to explode with notifications. Share, like, comment. Algorithm. We have to defeat the algorithm. The evil forces of the social media algorithm. Matt?
First and foremost, it looks your microphone like slid up in the middle of that. Now it just looks like you have a very
What's happening here?
you have a very prompt there you go.
No. I mean, yeah, but not. I mean, you know.
First and foremost, allow me to thank the wonderful and fine people at siestakava.com for the libertarian Kool-Aid that I drank on this and every episode of the Muddied Waters of Freedom. If you are yet to try the hippie moonshine, go to siestakava.com today.
Siesta.com, siestakava.com. And allow me to thank Lible for this delicious water that I just got. Bulavanaka. We have all sorts of fun. We have a special guest coming up, but first, we're going to try to make money off of you. This episode, of course, is brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing caucus in the Libertarian Party, and the second largest one. And at this rate, gonna probably be the first largest one by the end of the summer. That's what you've done, America. And if you'd like to help join the party, the caucus, and make this joke into an even bigger one, then come and join us on the Facebook group Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus. And if you want to become an official voting member, you need a button or a t-shirt or both. And if you want to do that, you can go to muddywatersmedia.com/store and buy a button or a t-shirt or both. The Gravy King. Cumberland Cannabis. If you'd like to buy weed from Tennessee, then I have great news for you. CumberlandCannabis.com. CumberlandCannabisCo.com. The Cumberland Cannabis Company is selling weed that they grew in Tennessee. It's viable, it's ethical, and it's effective weed. And if you want to buy weed on the internet, go to CumberlandCannabisCo.com.
And if you can say that 3 times fast, if you can say CumberlandCannabisCo.com 3 times fast, call into our anchor line and do it.
Do it. You're not going to get anything, but do it. Just do it. Cumberland Cannabis Co. Cumberland Cannabis Co. Cumberland Cannabis Co. See, look, I did it. Can you beat me? Can you beat Spike's
But you didn't say .com.
Oh, CumberlandCannabisCo.com, CumberlandCannabisCo.com, CumberlandCannabisCo.com. Wow, that is tough. If you can beat me,
that's really hard.
Linguist that I am. Then let's hear it in the Anchor call-in moment. Anchor.fm/muddywaters. Joe Solaski is running for governor of Pennsylvania. He's the key to Pennsylvania's success, and if you want to help him become the first libertarian governor in the history of mankind, go to joesoloski.com. That's JoeSoloski.com. Jack Casey has written these 2 books. What are they about? That we have no idea. They're probably good. I don't know. They might be.
What do you think's on the what do you think's on the cover of the 3rd one?
Oh, a crown.
Right, if I'm betting, and I've made this bet on other episodes, I'm betting it's a crown with pornographic images.
Oh wow. A porn crown?
A porn crown.
I mean, that's not a bad bet that it's a porn crown.
Right. It just seems very Jack Casey.
Well, he is a cult leader, so.
Right.
And I'm not sure what started that he's a cult leader, but he is a cult leader. So if you want to help a cult leader get money by buying his books that may or may not be terrible, then go to theroyalgreen.com and buy it today. And again, book 3, Crowned by Gold, will be out any day now, I'm sure. Speaking of horrifying things, Adderpan. Hey, want to be really so scared that you can't ever go to bed ever again and you just give up on trying to live a functional life because that involves sleep and you're just horrified at the thought of even opening your eyes because there's going to be some kind of horrific doll monster thing that's going to murder you in front of everyone that you know and love? Then go play Adderpan. It's available on Steam for the low price of $5. So if you're into, I'm told they're called jump scares, or as I call them, massive anxiety attacks, then you can go and look up Adderpan on Steam. That's not weird at all that people want to do that, but apparently they do. And if you're one of these weirdos, then go to Steam, go download Adderpan, and they're going to have regular updates in case you start to normalize and feel normal like an okay person again and you want to get scared all over again. They're going to update it so you can just keep getting more and more scared. And I just don't get the appeal. Adderpan, available on Steam. Now here's something that isn't horrifying, and that's Fierce Luxury by Ashley. High-end bags and accessories. Fierce Luxury by Ashley. She has an online consignment shop called, appropriately enough, Fierce Luxury by Ashley. You can consign your things there, your products there, and she carries everything from Louis Vuitton to Hermes.
Hermes. But you have to say it like snooty. It's not Hermes. It's Hermes. Hermes.
And if you'd like to consign your Hermes with Ashley, she does it for only 30%. That's 20% less than all these other schmucks out there. So go to fierceluxurybyashley.com and get involved in the wonderful world of luxury consignment by Hermes. Mudwater, most appropriately named product ever. Mudwater is delicious-ish. In a way, in its own special way. It's kind of like, oh, that's the wrong thing. It tastes good. I don't feel like I'm selling this very well. If you woke up today and you said, hey, you know what's yummy? Mushrooms and cacao and masala chai, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon. That combination of products is not going to be disgusting at all. And I bet it tastes better than coffee. Well, I guess you're probably right about that. And it's better for you than coffee. So if you want to have this thing, because I've been selling it incredibly today, go to muddywatersmedia.com/mud. I do use this product, and it keeps me this wired all day long. All day long, it keeps me exactly this wired with 1/7 of the caffeine, which really tells you a lot more about me than the product itself. muddywatersmedia.com/mud. Also, 2 quick programming notes. Well, I guess this isn't a programming note, but if you want... Hey, do you want a gun? Do you want a shotgun? Do you want a shotgun for $10? Yeah? Well, I got some great news for you. If you want to win this G-Force G12 12-gauge home defense shotgun, I've got great news for you. $10 a ticket. We're only selling 150 tickets, which means you will have a 1 out of 150 shot.
The raffle tickets are sold out.
Oh, no?
Yeah, the raffle tickets are sold out.
Oh. Hey, do you want a gun? Tough.
You could have had one for $10, but you didn't buy a ticket fast enough.
For just
I bought
$10.
Tickets fast enough.
If you had been faster, you could have had this gun, maybe. But you know what? We'll never know. We'll never know.
I definitely bought tickets fast enough for that one. I bought 150 of them.
You bought 150 of them?
No, about 2.
Now, I was going to say that's actually a good price for a gun, just fine. So, you know what isn't too late is... You know, it isn't too late. After this show, which I'm sure they'll let me continue to be a part of even after how I've performed in this segment. We'll be doing Libertarian Jeopardy. It says at 10, but we'll see. It'll be after this show is done. We will be doing right here on Muddy Waters Media Libertarian Jeopardy to help raise money for the upcoming Breaking Boundaries for Liberty event. It's going to be featuring all of your favorite Muddied Waters peoples. Matt Wright, the Eskimo Libertarian Megan, the Cajun Libertarian Noel, me, and Brian Lambrecht are going to be part of this. I haven't eaten today, so I'm going to eat while we're doing this.
So Tony DeRazio is also playing, and Thomas Queter, and superfan Sarah Anderegg. And Jack Casey.
And Jack Casey. Jack, do you mean the same Jack Casey that has these books that I refuse to read ever?
Yes.
Well,
that Jack Casey is going to be playing as well.
What great day in the morning, everyone. So speaking of great days in the morning, this is a kind of great day. Not in the morning, but it is. I'm having a nice day. This is a terrible segue. So we have a guest.
We have a guest.
Who I'm glad that this is a few months later, because otherwise we'd be contributing to the delinquency of a minor. And so I'm happy now that he's of majority age, so he can experience this nightmare of a television program that we have. Our guest tonight is 18 years old, and he's running to be judge of elections in his precinct, which is in Cass Township in Schuylkill County. We're gonna find out how that's
how to say that in a second.
How to say that? In Pennsylvania.
Schuylkill.
We're about to find out together. Folks, you're not going to believe how to pronounce this county. This young man's name, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Avery Rumberger. Avery, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. And Matt, you were close. It's pronounced Schuylkill.
Schuylkill.
This is Schuylkill?
Yep.
Schuylkill.
I think it's Dutch. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it must be.
I mean, it's Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Dutch country, as I've learned from The Office.
Okay.
Schuylkill.
In no way should that spell
better.
I like Schuy.
Schuylkill.
Well, you live in a fantastic county, Avery. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us the Avery story. What got you into libertarianism, man?
So, what really got me into libertarianism was actually a year ago. Prior to last year, I was a Trump Republican. And I supported him in 2016. Granted, I was 13, so I didn't know much about politics. But when I supported him and he got into office and he didn't keep his campaign promises, I was like, what the hell? So my really good friend of mine, his name's Cole Stevanowski, he mentioned to me, he said, "Hey, I'm a libertarian." And then I was like, "What's a libertarian?" And he got me into it. He showed me the whole platform. He sent me to the party. And then I paid attention to the nomination process when you guys nominated you and Joe. And when you and Joe got nominated, I signed up to volunteer for Joe. And then that was a giant snowball effect where Sam Robb, he was in charge of Pennsylvania for your campaign. He contacted me.
Sam Robb, yeah.
Sam Robb's a great guy.
Yeah, we love Sam.
Sam asked me to be the Schuylkill County coordinator for your campaign. So I said yes to that. And it took me on a pretty big journey. You definitely don't remember. I met you in Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre was where we were doing signatures out in front of the courthouse, right?
No, I don't think so. We met at some sort of square. I don't really know Wilkes-Barre that well. It's about an hour away from me, so but it wasn't in front of a courthouse. But after your election was over, I was asked by another man. His name is Mitch Mankiewicz. He ended up getting a county committee going for the LPPA in Schuylkill County. So I was appointed secretary and treasurer there, and I was also appointed board rep. So it was a giant snowball effect of literally within a year of my friend introducing me to the Libertarian Party to being a decent standing member. So, and then I
I-
decided to run for office when I found out there was a vacancy and it was uncontested. So I was like, hey, why not?
The
So,
Moulton
here I am.
maneuver. Yes, you are taking part in the Moulton maneuver, which is getting libertarians elected to uncontested seats and then just taking over entire states. So you are running for judge of elections, which
Judge
I
of
will admit,
elections.
I've never heard of such a thing. Can you tell us a little bit about what judge of elections is?
It's not as prestigious as you think. So in Pennsylvania, in their precincts, they have a judge of elections and 2 inspectors of elections.
Okay.
And I forget what the exact rules are, but there's a majority inspector and a minority inspector that, I don't want to say report, but they work under the judge. And all the judge does at the precincts is make sure nothing's really fishy about the voting. They help people vote and they just run the voting machines. So
Okay.
it sounds a lot more prestigious than it is, but it's a start.
No, but it's an important job
You know,
too.
it's-
Like
it is.
It's important to have someone checking the integrity of the vote that's happening there, especially in
Yeah.
in an important swing state like Pennsylvania is.
Exactly.
That's
And-
incredible, man. Go ahead, Matt.
So, you're 8, man. You're 18. You just graduated high school. I'm assuming, I'm assuming. I don't even know.
Yep, I just graduated.
Okay. So you just graduated high school, and then you thought, you know what I'm gonna do on my first summer off?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mount a campaign to run for judge of elections in the southern part of the Cass Township in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
That is one hell of a beach week, my friend.
Yeah. Really. So, folks, if you woke up today and said, you know what, I feel like I could be doing more, you probably feel even more like that now. You might actually feel like a bad person after this, because here you are, probably older than 18, not running for judge of Schuylkill County's elections. This is incredible. So, just to put it in perspective, like you said, in the 2016 elections, you weren't old enough to drive. And I'm not saying that to like as a, oh, you're a kid or whatever, but just to put in perspective, like you just became an adult and are already getting heavily involved in politics and activism in your local area. And I can't articulate how proud of you I am and how cool that is,
Right.
what you're doing.
Like,
Like there's no
right
way
now
I have no words for that.
Right now we have a young man on the show who he can't buy cigarettes, he can't buy beer, he can go to war, and he can run for judge of elections.
Yeah,
and he chose
that's a
to
good
run
point.
for judge of elections. And I like, honestly, man, I'm proud of you. That is amazing. When I was 18 years old, I had dreams of one day running for office. And then when I was 18, I took a different path.
Yes.
I
thought I took a different path too, and here we are.
Fair. One that was heavily influenced by a lot of chemicals.
Yes.
And so I decided that I would rather just talk about politics, but you were out there doing it. And if I had taken that path, we wouldn't be talking on the show right now. But I am really proud of you. And honestly, that is amazing that you are taking this kind of step at this age. And
That's wild, man. Yeah.
Let me ask you. It is inspiring to see somebody of this age doing something like this.
Let me ask you something. I was just about to say, so you mentioned that before. You said this is only the beginning. What is it you have in mind? So you're starting with this judge of elections role, which is a perfect opportunity for you to show what you're able to do at an elected position. What are some of your future goals?
So right now, I just got enrolled at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. I'm studying 2 majors, criminal justice and political science. After that, I plan on going to law school and getting a law degree. I'm not sure what type of lawyer I want to be, but I want to be some type of lawyer. And eventually, I want to go farther in politics. I want to keep it realistic. I don't want to say right now at 18 saying I'm going to be president one day, but something realistic for what I'm involved in now, senator, national senator. And if stuff comes around where, hey, I have a real shot at winning the presidency, who knows?
These are not the goals I had when I was 18. I just want to put that. I think it's incredible. I think I don't have words for how cool it is, what it is you're doing. But it is very, very cool. we're gonna keep tabs on you because I think that you're gonna be doing some incredible stuff there. And on behalf of the Jorgensen Cohen campaign, I am grateful. Wilkes-Barre. So that's where we met at like a town square and then went off and did. Yes. Okay. All right. I remember that. Yeah, that's okay. I was the whole time we've been talking, I'm like, Wilkes-Barre, where the hell was that? Okay. So listen, man, I am just so happy that you came on, and we are very excited to see what you have in store. Thank you for, I'm sure you've heard the term Moulton Maneuver. Thank you for taking part in the Moulton Maneuver there in Pennsylvania and all the stuff that you and other Pencil libertarians are doing. How can people keep up with you?
Like the Pennsylvanians are doing great
Pennsylvanians are killing it. How can people follow you and what your exploits and your political ambitions? How can people follow you on social media?
So I don't have an official page yet, but
Okay.
I have my Facebook. It's Avery Rumberger, Rumberger. I have my Instagram, which is the same thing. I have every social media that you expect an 18-year-old kid to have, except Twitter. I don't like the interface, so I don't have a Twitter.
Okay.
I have an old account on there. That's from when I was 11. Unfortunately, yes, but I do not post.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like me. You're like me. You have an inactive TikTok. So we'll have to challenge each other to start putting stuff on our TikTok. So okay, so people can follow you on social media, Avery Rumberger.
Yep. I don't know if you
Avery,
want to put my name up there, but it's Rumberger.
Let me do that so I can hold on 1 second. I'll put that in there. Avery Rumberger.
Yep.
Cool. Avery Rumberger. Everyone go follow him on social media. Go cheer him on for all the incredible stuff he's doing. And
Andrea O'Donnell, we don't know if he has an OnlyFans, and we're not going to ask because he just turned 18.
He's 18.
What
He
is
just
wrong with
turned
you?
18.
He's 18.
he literally is just
He just turned 18.
This is just
Andrea
barely
O'Donnell.
legal to even ask. Okay? So no, we're not going to pressure the kid into getting an OnlyFans, okay? Give it a few months, all right? Thank you for your contribution.
Campaign finances.
Really? No, I mean,
Really?
I don't even want to go there. Avery, thank you so much for coming on, man. We are so excited to see what you have in store, and we are happy to have you as a part of Muddy Waters. Feel free to come on. We'd love to have you on in the future again, man. Thank you.
I'd love to.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. Nope, that's Avery.
Okay. That's Avery. Avery is now hosting.
Avery is now hosting. Thanks,
Yeah,
Matt.
man,
Thanks for coming on.
I cannot wait to see what happens. Somebody in the comments, I think it was Zach Martin, I'm not 100% sure, said this kid has his life together. Yeah, the kid has it together more at 18 than I do at 32. I understand that completely.
That's how I feel in this moment. I thought I had my life together at 39. Turns out, apparently not.
No.
I haven't been elected judge of anything. So there's that.
Haven't been elected anything of anything.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Neither of us have been elected to anything, or it's great what you're doing as a kid. He's already doing more than us, so there you go. Yeah, best of luck. There's a great comments for Avery there. Best of luck. Adam Wiggs is informing us that he knows several 18-year-olds on OnlyFans. Why are we going here?
Jack Casey says he's setting Avery up with a porn crown and an OnlyFans. And
What?
coming from Jack
He's
Casey,
18.
It's OnlyFans though. It's different.
OnlyFins?
OnlyFans. It's Jack Casey's mermaid site.
Oh, I want to move on from this segment now. I was having such
so
fun
badly.
It really went weird. It went weird.
And apparently Garrig Milbrandt has slept in his car.
In Avery's car?
I'm assuming.
Oh, what a nice guy to let Garrig Milbrandt sleep in his car. That's the kind of hospitality you get.
That's Schuylkill
County.
That's the kind of judge of elections you want for the southern part of Cass Township in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania.
Schuylkill.
Schuylkill.
Avery's brother Gary is asking us not to corrupt his brother into getting an OnlyFans. Thank you. We're gonna move on from this segment because I feel dirty. We're gonna move on to we'll call it my favorite segment. The Mudwater what are we calling this? The Mudwater Mushroom Coffee Replacement Cacao Rapid Fire segment, brought to you again by Mudwater Coffee Alternative. It's got all these things in it that are not coffee, that it tastes equally not good, but you can put some honey in it. It's good for you. Right?
So next week, everybody, you're going to want to tune in. Next week's going to be a big show.
Oh, yeah.
Next week,
Yes.
Mr. Merck. Oh, did you watch Jason's show yesterday?
Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
So
I'm so excited to have him back.
For
Yep.
anybody who doesn't know, Mr. Merca, the Bearded Truth, came back,
Yep.
and he is going to be doing shows regularly again. I don't know at what rate. I think it's every other week. I'm not 100% sure though. But he did an episode yesterday that is up on all of the podcasting sites. It went up earlier today, and it's up on it's up on YouTube, it's up on Facebook, it's up everywhere. It is fantastic. Jason did a killer job at this show, and I cannot wait to see what he comes out with next.
Yeah.
Because man, that was good.
And his format is really cool. His format is super cool. He's diving into specific issues every single week and drilling down into what the libertarian solution would be to that. So instead of doing sort of a scattershot thing of all the different things that happened that week, he's picking one single thing, focusing on it, isolating it, and talking about how libertarians could fix it. I think it's so cool what he's doing.
That's right. Yeah. And so next week, he is going to be a very special guest right here on the Muddied Waters of Freedom.
Oh, yeah, that's
where,
right.
Yeah. Where, because we are...
no.
Spike hates that this is happening.
I hate this so much.
But the reason that Spike wasn't involved in the decision making on this is because I knew he wasn't going to like it.
Yeah, I would be against this. Yeah,
he would have been against it. But I just posted a link in the comment section down there. So this is a GoFundMe. We are trying to help one of our friends, one of the friends of the show, keep his daughter. And because custody battles are so expensive, we started a GoFundMe. Jason is a good friend of this person, and in order to help raise money, he is going to be on the show next week. And he
I don't like this.
As we raise more money, he is going to eat hotter and hotter peppers live on the air. So if you want to see Jason in pain, give money during the show next week, and we can
Jason feel pain.
Yeah, we can make Jason's butthole ablaze together.
I was going to say the pain is we're only getting the oh, this is really spicy. We don't have the 2 days afterwards of absolute agony. Toilet agony. If you want to help our good friend Jason experience toilet agony while also helping a father stay with his daughter, two very weird things to juxtapose together, then come join us next week on the Muddy Waters of Freedom. I might not do that episode. I kind of have to. I'm the one that streams it. But I
was going to say that's...
I may just shake
really
my head unapprovingly the entire time. I'm very uncomfortable about this. But again, if you're the kind of person that plays games like Adderpan, then you'll probably love this, because then you get to watch Jason. It's like Saw, but with peppers.
Now, did you see bootleg libertarians say that he let his child play Adderpan?
No.
So not Chris Darnell from Not a Real Libertarian apparently let his child play Adderpan, and he goes, "My child said it was easy, and then had nightmares."
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, the game doesn't look especially difficult. You just turn it on and then die. I just, just why?
Oh,
people are in the comments arguing with me about how much toilet agony he's going to experience. Okay, sure.
Who's in there?
Sure. John Morrissey of Defy the Power is saying 2 days toilet agony, more like 10 hours. Okay, all right.
Okay.
It'll feel like 2 days. of just straight toilet agony, that's going to feel pretty rough. It's going to feel rough. But you know what also felt rough? The meat prices, huh, guys? So, you know what else is going to be rough? Libertarian Jeopardy, because I'm going to be exhausted. I'm also going to be eating because I haven't eaten yet today. And we're going to be playing Jeopardy, hosted by Brian Lambrecht and featuring Matt, Nullick, Noel, the Cajun Libertarian, myself, Sarah Anderegg, Thomas Queter, and Tony Orazio. Some of the best libertarians to ever play Jeopardy on the internet. But you know what isn't great about, and isn't... You know what sucks? So the White House... Hey, folks, we hope everyone had a great 4th of July, and we also hope that you really enjoyed that extra 16 cents. We hope that really came in handy while getting all of your items for the barbecue, according to the White House. That, by the way, can we just talk about the... I'm not sure if I'm insulted more by the fact that the White House tried to claim that the cost of anything is down from last year, or the puns in this damn tweet.
You know how long it took me to figure out the mustard one?
Yeah, that was bad.
That was so bad. I read that like so many times. I did not understand it.
I'm like, I think Joe Biden wrote this and had like a sundown moment in the middle of writing it or something. So it says, planning a cookout this year? Catch up on the news. According to the Farm Bureau, the cost of this is a lie. The cost of a 4th of July barbecue is down from last year. It's a fact that you must hear. That's the worst pun.
That is so bad.
That's beyond dad joke. That's creepy uncle joke.
Right.
Hot dog. The Biden economic plan is working, and that's something we can all relish. Okay, so bad, terrible puns aside, that's a straight up lie, because we know that gas prices are up, 41% higher?
41% higher than they were this time last year. House prices are going up 24% annually right now, which means they're going up roughly 16 cents every 10th of a second, I believe. 16 cents every 1.3 seconds right now.
Wow.
But let's take a look at what they're comparing these meat prices to.
Okay.
So the meat prices that they are comparing it to showed the largest annual increases in 2020. Beef and veal prices increased 9.6%. Pork prices rose 6.3%. Poultry prices were up 5.6%. And other meat prices increased 4.4%, which is much higher than the normal rate of inflation. When we're looking at dairy prices rose 4.4%, eggs were up 4.3%, and non-alcoholic beverages were up 3.6% during the year, which was also higher than normal. So the fact that things dropped a cent each overall really isn't that big of an accomplishment. And the reasoning behind this was because supply chains were broken. People weren't going out to restaurants as much. Food products in retail stores, there was tons of food products that were sitting in retail stores and not going to restaurants and schools. So prices on everything in grocery stores was going up.
Right.
Now everything is back open. So yeah, prices have dropped a little bit.
If
not
at all.
Enough that not that anybody's going to notice. But
how is 16? Like, who notices 16 cents?
And the fact that they had the audacity to brag about this, while gas prices were up. It's $3 a gallon for regular here right now. $2.97 for regular here right now. Where Avery was, he was telling us before the show, it's like $4.
$4 a gallon. Yeah. Wow.
The audacity for them to go, you can get all of this food for 16 cents less.
Here's a perfect example of how government manipulates data for political purposes. They picked the one thing that shot through the roof last year because of the shifting of the entire food market away from restaurants and almost entirely to grocery stores. And like Matt said, also the supply chain issues and the fact that some of the meat shops kept shutting down because of COVID outbreaks and everything else, which led to this massive increase in that. Even as last year, that same time last year, the price of a lot of stuff was plummeting because there was little to no demand for it. People weren't going outside in most of the major metro areas in this country. And so instead of focusing on the fact that now the price of everything else is skyrocketing, they took that one thing that skyrocketed last year and focused on the fact that it dropped infinitesimally. It just like can't even notice it, to the point where probably
a unicorn's
region,
whisper.
it's still going. Yeah, it
dropped a unicorn's whisper, and we're gonna brag about it.
We're gonna.
There's a different word that I usually use,
analogy.
but I'm not gonna say that on the air.
A whisper. That's
a
different than
whisper.
So it dropped by nothing, essentially, effectively zero. And they went and like flexed on it. Meanwhile, you'll notice. I mean, look at the ratio there of the retweets and comments to likes. This was panned across the board. Everyone was saying,
big time.
You're a bunch of morons. Why would you even say this? Now, speaking of people in the White House, just saying some wow. Here is the new talking point. Remember Joe Biden last year, who was going to hold police officers accountable, and we need to listen to the voices of the people marching in the streets for racial justice, marching against all of the policies that I've been pushing forward since the 70s, since I've been in office. So here's what they're saying now. You're going to be shocked. Psaki had an explanation about meat, by the way. Forgot that.
I was like,
there
did we
has
skip
been
that
a
part?
reduction in some of the costs of key components of the 4th of July barbecue. That was what the tweet was noting.
So does the White House think that 16 cents off of barbecue has more of an impact on people's lives than gas being $1 more this time? This 4th
I
of
would
July
say
versus
if
last
you
year?
don't like hot dogs, you may not care of the reduction of costs. You don't have to like hot dogs.
You can't buy a
But
hot dog for 16 cents.
a
That's
reduction
like a
of.
bite
I
a
will
hot
say
dog.
that what we are most focused on is the fact that we've created now more than 3 million jobs since the president took office. That's what we're focused on, and continuing to implement additional components of his economic Build Back Better agenda. Go ahead, Andrea.
Just gonna switch gears.
So part of me doesn't envy her job, even though she did sign up for it, because she literally has to take a bunch of bullshit and try to make it sound like she really believes it. At the same time, she signed up for that job, and I hate her because she's good at deflecting. And actually, I don't know.
Is
Good's
she,
the
though?
wrong word. Good's the wrong word. She just does it a lot.
Yeah, she deflects a lot. As Cajun calls her, circle back Psaki.
But I also don't know if there's. I'm trying to picture. Okay, so let's say I decided to be Joe Biden's press secretary. Would I be able to do much better on? Hey guys, the price of meat down 16 cents. Yeah, the price of everything else is up by exponentially. Oh, well, did you hear about the jobs? Like, I don't know how else you could do that, but to pivot constantly. So I
mean, that's every press secretary. Every press secretary
Right.
is constantly pivoting, except for
Yeah.
Kayleigh the girl that lives in Tampa and comes to the aquarium. Except for her, because she would just attack the reporter. And that was at least entertaining.
That's fun. So
Yeah, that
that's
was-
what
that
I
was-
do. That's okay. So that is what I do. I'd be like, how dare you?
How dare you?
I'd,
We are
like,
saving
pull
people
up-
16 cents and
I'd
you're
pull out
out
their
here
tweets.
questioning it.
I'd pull out something they tweeted once, be like, how could you even stand there and ask me that? Back when 2013, you said this. That's not even funny. I don't even get the reference. How dare you? So I don't know. But so here's something else.
Nolik said it's like gaslighting from Wish.
Yes, when you order your narcissistic gaslighter from Wish. So speaking of narcissistic gaslighting, watch this. This is just Mwah!
This is-
If you want to be able to show a Democrat how stupid their vote was last year.
President ran on, most importantly, did not run on defunding the police. He's always opposed defunding the police. I'll also note, because you've asked this question before or a few times over the last several days, that when we talk about individuals in Congress and their support for funding or opposition to funding for the police, I think what the American people are most focused on is how people vote, what their record is, which is a public record. And I will note that while the president ran on and won the most votes of any candidate in history on a platform of boosting funding for law enforcement,
You remember that? Remember that, guys, when he said, my focus is on boosting funding for law enforcement? That was my favorite part. Remember when that never happened?
after Republicans spent decades trying to cut the COPS program, which again is public record. We don't need to undervalue the intelligence of the American people.
Yeah, because, anyway.
The president
Because that's
ran on
what I'm
increasing
doing
that
right
funding.
now.
Because that's literally what I'm doing in this moment.
It's in
Gosh.
his budget. It was in President
I went back to hating her again.
Trump's budget. He significantly cut that. So that's a change. And the American Rescue Plan had a great deal of funding for local and state authorities, something that can support funding for local police in communities across the country, something many have used. It doesn't require me telling you names of individuals who opposed the American Rescue Plan. Every Republican opposed the American Rescue Plan, and I don't have time to read out all their names today.
Okay.
So here's the unspoken spoken there. What she just said to Black Lives Matter and all the people that protested for police accountability, what she just told them was, hey, screw you for voting for us. In your face, we're going to kneel some more, and we might put on a kente cloth later, and, oh, happy Juneteenth. But actual accountability, absolutely not. We're going to nearly triple funding. And the real unspoken there, this is the ugly one. And I say this as someone who ran for vice president against both Joe Biden and Donald Trump last year. What she just told everyone was, if you wanted less funding for police, you should have voted for Trump.
You should have voted for Trump.
You should have voted Republican. That's what she said. That's what she literally said. What she said.
And,
yeah.
And what she said was Joe Biden talked about increasing funding for police. No, he didn't. Throughout the campaign, he never. I will say, he did not say defund the police ever.
No,
he did say a redistribution of funds. He said that we need to stop the militarization of police. He still lies. Those are both lies, because he is not. He is redistributing funds. He's redistributing them from COVID funds to the police, to the state and local police, or he's telling states to do it anyway, and he's increasing funding for more militarization of police. What she said was, if you wanted weaker police forces, you should have voted for Trump.
Yep.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And here's the other thing. If only there had been someone saying that all this funding for COVID is going to go to police enforcement, and that the new I thought I smelled weed, or now I guess I thought I smelled menthols, is I don't think I saw you wearing a mask.
Yep.
If only someone said that repeatedly and got told, no, the Democrats have changed. They're now the Justice Democrats. They're running on a platform of holding police accountable to when they enforce all the laws that they passed. Stop voting Democrat, and for that matter, stop voting Republican.
Stop voting Republican.
Stop voting Republican. This is what they do. It's what they keep doing. They're just playing a good cop, bad cop routine. You'll notice every time she wants to change the subject, she just reflects to how much Republicans suck. And when Trump was in office, every time he wanted to change the subject, they just they'd pivot to how much Democrats suck. That's literally what they do. They keep you voting for them to stop the other side, and they keep the other people that hate them to vote for the other side to stop them, even though they're all working together to screw you over. Because guess what? All this stuff, almost all of it, gets passed in a bipartisan manner. So, there you go. Stop voting Republican. Speaking of Republicans, not really.
No,
Well,
not
speaking
even a little
of-
bit. Speaking of justice,
Sure.
I mean, it is.
I
It
mean,
is.
speaking of the justice system, Bill
Sure.
Cosby is out of prison. Matt?
Bill Cosby Bill Cosby got released from prison. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his sexual assault conviction due to a non-prosecution agreement that he struck with a previous prosecutor back in 2004, which should have prevented him from being charged over his 2004. It says encounter here, but we can
rape
say
of
assault, right? Assault, rape of Andrea Constant.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah. So go ahead.
At the time, in 2004, the prosecutor, or in 2005, the prosecutor who was involved in this case knew that he would never get a criminal conviction or even get it past a grand jury. And he recommended that Andrea Constant go with a civil suit, and they signed the non-prosecution agreement.
Right.
Because there was a non-prosecution agreement, Bill Cosby said some self-incriminating things like, I gave women quaaludes.
And then had sex with them while they were
And
asleep.
then he never said that part. He always said that he gave them the quaaludes, but they took them voluntarily. But
Right,
sometimes
yeah.
they needed coaxing. So in order to ensure that she would get something, this is what the prosecutor did.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the right move? Probably in 2004. Probably
They had
in
nothing.
2004.
They didn't really have.
They
any
had
proof
nothing
of
without
anything.
his testimony, and he would have just pleaded the fifth. They had nothing.
Yep.
Then later, the prosecutor who came after that was like, I don't care about that agreement. It was kind of like right there at the beginning of the Me Too.
Yeah.
And he said, we have 19 women, at least 19 women who have complaints against Bill Cosby, all for the same thing. We're going after this guy and we're going to use this testimony against him, which is illegal.
Yep. Violates his due process rights because he said it on the explicit agreement that basically it's a immunity deal. They said they weren't going to prosecute him.
Yes.
And then they did. That's why he waived his Fifth Amendment right, was because they said they wouldn't prosecute him. In retrospect, he should have just not said anything to anyone. I mean, from a how to not get in trouble standpoint. From a moral standpoint, it was right for him to, finally say what happened. But from a stay out of jail standpoint, not so much.
And he still didn't say what happened. He just said, yes, I gave them drugs to help them relax. But I never did quaaludes. I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. I've heard stories from people who have done quaaludes.
Yeah. They don't just help you relax.
Right. So what the second prosecutor did was illegal and shouldn't have been done. Should not have been done.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Cosby going free is the right move from a due process standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've said it on the show countless times.
Yep.
We would rather see 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent person sit in prison, especially if it's because a prosecutor did something heinous in order to get a confession.
Exactly. Yep. Because with other people, it could be used where they're getting coerced confessions that aren't true. I mean, this is a incredibly slippery slope if you allow prosecutors to get confessions in exchange for promising not to prosecute, and then they prosecute, or another prosecutor prosecutes. Like, that's a great way for even more innocent people to go to jail in the future. Right. But
the rules of law are there to protect the innocent.
Right.
sometimes the guilty profit off of it. And legal niceties aren't just for nice people.
Yep. Bill Cosby was at one point, he was America's dad.
You were a big fan of his show, weren't you?
A huge fan of all of his shows. So I was a fan of The Cosby Show. I was a fan of Fat Albert. I was a fan of A Different World, which was produced by him and featured some of the people from The Cosby Show. I think he might have even cameoed on it as well. He was considered one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. He was America's dad. And it also cannot be underestimated the fact that in a time when every depiction prior to Bill Cosby, almost every depiction of black people and black families on TV was of black people who were in poverty, undereducated, trying to, experience a white world. Probably the closest thing to something positive was something like the Jeffersons, that they were, able to start a business and move up to the east side and be around white people. But what Bill Cosby did was he made multiple positive black role models. And I've had the opportunity as someone who's run for office and someone who's continuing to do activism to speak to all sorts of people across multiple walks of life. And I can't tell you the number of people I've spoken to, including some white people, but also mostly black people, that characters from The Cosby Show, characters from A Different World, helped shape their worldview of what they wanted to do in life. And that can't be underestimated. He's a rapist. It's true that he should have gone free because of this violation of due process. Not necessarily for him so much as for what would happen if this were allowed. But he raped people. And yes, he's a very, very old man. He's either blind or going blind. At this point, he's going to get to live his final years out, not in prison, and probably won't live much longer. His health is terrible across the board. There's no risk of him hurting or raping anyone else or anything like that. He raped people. Probably a lot of people.
J. Adam Weggs in the comments said, "What about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?" Yes, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air did a lot in order. Like
that was after,
but
Cosby.
it came after. Without Cosby, there would have been no Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Exactly. Cosby and A Different World spawned a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters. Family Matters with Urkel, right? Yeah. Family Matters. That was an age of that kind of programming. And then later on, Martin and Living Single. All of these came...
Living Single, or as white people call it, Friends.
But like... funny. And then Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Like there was this whole series of shows where the people that were in it were predominantly black and were largely successful, and it wasn't seen as like this crazy feature like, oh look, they're successful. It was just a matter of fact thing. And that started with the Cosby Show. And there was an era of positivity, and instead of this idea of like we're now in an era of struggle theater for black people. And there's actually, among black people, there's increasing talk about why is almost every single depiction of black people going back to slavery, segregation, beating that drum, as opposed to some positive, features that are out there. That's why so many people were happy about Black Panther, even though it was completely fictional. It was at least a positive depiction. It wasn't like, look at the struggles that we have. So all that to say that there's a lot of good that Bill Cosby has done. I don't think that we should just write all that off wholesale. And it is correct that he was set free. He was a rapist. And I hope that he at least learned his lesson. And I don't know what else to say about him.
Right.
On the other end of that spectrum is someone who is learning their lesson, who I don't believe did anything wrong, or at the very least nothing deserving of what she is going through. And that's Sha'Carri Richardson.
So real quick, I learned about Sha'Carri Richardson 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
2 years ago, I saw a video of this guy. It was on Facebook or YouTube or something. I saw a video of this girl who was, I don't know, 17 or 18 or whatever she was at the time, in a race. And I was floored at how fast this young lady was. Just unbelievably quick.
Yep.
And then I saw that like this year, I started following her on Instagram because I wanted to find out like if she was like going to make it to the Olympics. And then this year I was like, oh, this is amazing. This girl is going to like, the Muddied Waters media account's been following her since she was like 18 years old. And like all of her races come up on our Instagram feed. And I was like, this girl is like insanely fast. For anybody who doesn't know, she is the 6th fastest woman who has ever lived, and she is 21.
Yep. So she hasn't even peaked. Yeah.
She hasn't peaked.
Wow.
She has.
Yeah.
Not
She's
peaked.
already one of the fastest women who's ever lived. And her story is also inspiring. She has talked about how her, she learned shortly before one of her more recent competitions that her biological mother had died, and she was able to push through that and break records. And we hope that this is just a really unfortunate speed bump in her career, because like we've said, she has not even peaked yet. But it's unnecessary. A couple days ago, the U.S. OPC, the Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, which is set up to stop people who use performance-enhancing drugs, they officially announced that Sha'Carri Richardson's, that she was having a month-long suspension, which would eat into at least part of her time in the Tokyo Olympics, on Friday for using the very popular and notorious performance-enhancing drug known as weed.
Wait. I used to smoke a little bit of weed.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. I had a skosh here or there. Just tiny bits.
I'm not sure if I've had it, maybe in passing.
Right. Maybe a little secondhand. And
secondhand. I might have gotten it secondhand.
Right, secondhand. Any time that I had a secondhand encounter, there's probably a lot of firsthand encounters while I was getting that secondhand encounter, though. I never really felt like getting up and going on a mad dash sprint.
Running really fast.
Really fast. Now,
so if I allegedly, South Carolina has no statute of limitations on any crime. So I will say that this is for possible entertainment purposes and in no way is meant to incriminate me or admit to anything. But if I were to have ever allegedly smoked anything resembling marijuana, I certainly can't imagine that I would have wanted to run really fast.
Run really fast.
Like really, or do anything really other than just sit there.
To steal from the late and great and brilliant Robin Williams, unless there was a giant Hershey bar at the other end of wherever I'm supposed to run to.
Yep. Even then, I'd saunter.
It depends on how many others were there trying to get to that Hershey bar.
That's true. That's a good point. So the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency doesn't even classify tetrahydrocannabinol, which is THC, the psychoactive chemical found in cannabis. They don't even consider it a performance-enhancing drug. The only reason this is illegal is because it's banned is because it's illegal in most countries. They allow alcohol, which in fact, they allow rampant use of alcohol in the Olympic Village, to the point where there are some people who refuse to actually go into the Olympic Village because it's just this den of debauchery, drunken debauchery. So this is not a moral thing either. It's not, oh, drugs are bad, you shouldn't do drugs. They're fine with people getting intoxicated. This is because weed is illegal. That's literally right. There's no reason other than it's just because it's illegal in most places.
In the statement in which the USADA was announcing Richardson's suspension, the Travis Tigart said Richardson's use of cannabis occurred out of competition and was unrelated to sports performance. And that really is a statement that nobody needed to make.
Yep.
Because we all knew she wasn't smoking weed to enhance her performance at running or at anything.
Yeah, except eating. It helps you with
Paul
eating.
O'Brien says if you're a competitive eater, in which case, yes, that would possibly be a performance enhancing drug, but I'm not sure if Nathan's tests on the 4th of July.
Right. And she's also the opposite of a competitive eater. She is a very slender woman who runs very fast. Maybe she can eat. I don't know. She might get down on eating. I don't know. But
I mean, she probably does, because she
honestly,
burns some
as I'm saying
calories.
that, she could probably get down on some food. But regardless, especially if she's smoking. But regardless, this is just, they're literally saying in their statement that there's no good reason for them to suspend her. And then this patronizing nonsense from Tygart. He described her suspension as heartbreaking. And then he said, hopefully her acceptance of responsibility for what? Her acceptance of responsibility and apology will be an important example to us that we can all successfully overcome our regrettable decisions, despite the costly consequences of this one to her. In other words, there's no good reason that we're doing this.
Right.
But we're still going to do it. And we hope she learned her lesson. Which is...
Do you know where she was when she did this?
No.
She was in Oregon.
Oh, where it's legal.
Where it's legal. She was in Oregon where it is legal to do this. So, like, for Travis, just shut the fuck up and let Sha'Carri run.
Yeah, yeah. And it actually gets worse. A little bit of breaking news here.
Yeah, I didn't know this. He told me about this literally moments
happened.
before the show.
I found this out right before we went live. So there was hope that the 4x100 relay actually happens just outside of when her band starts or ends. So they were hoping, okay, then she'll get to participate in that relay and at least get some medals. USA Track and Field announced earlier today, actually, just an hour or so ago, that they're not going to include the nation's best female runner alive right now in their Olympic relay team, even though they could. She can still practice, she just can't compete.
Right.
There is literally no good reason that they are doing this. There's not. So for those who have been saying, well, yeah, even though it's wrong, it's the rules and they're a private organization, so they should be allowed to do it. We're not disputing that. We're not saying that this should be banned. This ban should be banned or the government should step in. We think the government should end the war on drugs, which would end the entire reason they're even doing this to begin with. But yeah, they're a private organization. They have their own rules and they can enforce them as they wish. This isn't even required by the rules. This is just punishing her just to punish her. And so, at least as it stands, the fastest American woman right now is not going to be able to participate because however many months ago she smoked weed. And that's just the dumbest damn thing I can think of in this moment.
For the people in the comments who are bringing up Michael Phelps wasn't, yes, he was suspended for 3 months, but it wasn't during an Olympic year. It was just during world trials and world nationals, but not the Olympics. Yeah. And Michael, like for anybody who's like, yeah, nobody gave Michael Phelps, nobody like hit Michael Phelps as hard as they're hitting her. Yes, they did. Michael Phelps went through a whole thing.
Yeah, he went through
a whole thing. Like the paparazzi was constantly hounding him, and he had to tell people, "I don't smoke weed. I get tested all the time." Which, I mean, there's a picture of you, buddy.
But it was from a few years back, and he was saying he hadn't done it anymore. And honestly, I think a lot of this speaks to how attitudes have changed about weed in the last 12 years, because him having that bong set off this whole scandal that led to not just the suspension, which it didn't disqualify him from being in the Olympics because of the timing.
It was the World Nationals and the U.S. Not the Olympic trials, but the U.S. finals.
Right. So he lost out on some he would have gotten more gold medals because he was easily the best swimmer at the time. So he did miss out on some medals, but none of the Olympic ones. But the paparazzi really dug into him, and there was even like they were questioning his sexuality. He talks about now how it like led to he was contemplating suicide. It was bad for him, but it did not affect his Olympic performance. And he also never actually, and he did lose endorsements as well.
Yeah, he did.
But
I think Nike dropped him and then gave it back to him after the 3 months.
It's weed. Like, it's so like we're still doing this anyway. So the absurdity here is that, and he never even tested positive. They literally just had an old picture of him smoking. So this is the second lesson today of stop admitting to things. I don't know. Maybe it was how I was raised. Did you do it? No, I did not do it. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. We have this letter that you wrote. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it, and I wanted to see my attorney. Like, I don't know why. Yeah, well, it was a rough time. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. My attorney. I don't answer questions. No. Plead the fifth. Attorney. Anti-Semitism. I'd say anti-Semitism, but maybe.
I can't say that.
You could still say it. Just throw them off. This is blatant anti-Semitism. What? And that gives you time to run away. So
isn't your last name supposed to be Hatfield and you're trying to claim Semitism? Anti-Semitism? Come on.
You're like, wait, what? Semitism? And then you run. That gives you a chance to run. Oh, by the way, we don't have a video of Shikari running. So I'm going to simulate it.
Was that 10.6 seconds?
Yes. I was not going to,
because that's how long it takes her to run.
I already have a head rush from doing that. I now have even more respect for her that she can do that for 10.6 seconds. Moving her legs too. I wasn't even doing that. So speaking of impressive,
you forgot to do the arms out at the side thing that she does.
Oh,
she'll, and then when she wins,
jazz hands.
Because she's that good.
She's that good. She does jazz hands while she's running. Now, you know what also is good? And that's Libertarian Jeopardy, which is coming right after this ends, and I have enough time to grab my food that's cooking right now. And then we're going to all play Libertarian Jeopardy right here on Muddy Waters Media, special late night event to raise money for the Breaking Boundaries for Freedom event in Tunica, Mississippi at the Horseshoe Resort and Casino. We'll talk more about that tonight.
Did you say Tim Hortons Casino?
No, I don't know. Did I say Tim Hortons? I thought I said Horseshoe Casino.
I thought I heard Tim Hortons, and I was like, I don't think there's a Tim Hortons in Tunica, but I hear there's a nice Waffle House there.
I hope so. Our next segment is the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment, where you can go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters, and you can leave us special little messages and ask us questions and say nice things and apparently sing songs to us, because that's a thing now. And we will answer them and respond to all of those messages. And you can also, right next to that, when you go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters, there's also a button there where you can leave money for us. You can donate money to us. I'm doing the Joe Biden ASMR. You can give us substantial, consequential money and pay us more. We made the show. We made the show. And you do not have to leave us money in order to have us answer your question or listen to it, but we will like you more. So here are the questions from our guests. Here we go. Here's the first one from James M. Ray.
Hello, everyone. This is James M. Ray with a personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment. This one's going to be pretty sad, too, because I just read the news that Janice McAfee has now given us of her take on her husband's murder. And I'm with Janice. I think there's something very Epstein-ish about this one. So it's very sad. And I'm hoping to have a better time on the day that we get to see Spike here in Florida. So I'm excited about that. Y'all have a great show and good luck.
Thank you, James. Matt, what do you think? I can see this.
Yeah, we didn't
So
talk
we
about
left
this last week, did we?
We didn't. We didn't talk about this, and I'm not sure. So I could see it going either way. He's left all these hints of how, or not hints, but like flat out saying, if I ever get killed, or I never would kill myself. I love my life. I could see it where he did that so that if he died, people would know he was murdered.
I see it. So I see it as three options.
Yes.
I see it as three options.
Yeah.
Option one, he did do it in order to basically just be the troll that he is, and have people constantly wondering whether or not
he did
it, or if he or if he was murdered.
Right.
I could also see that he was murdered.
Yeah.
And that everything he said before that was true, except for the dead man switch, which hasn't gone off yet. Or that he paid off a prison guard to help him fake his death, and he is alive somewhere. I could see any of those three happen. Like, I honestly do not know. That man was a mystery to me, in every conceivable aspect. And I liked McAfee. Like, he was entertaining. He was crazy, but he was at least entertaining whilst being crazy. And
he was definitely crazy, but he was less crazy than he let on. There was a lot of intentional trolling to get people to be like, this guy's nuts. So there was a little bit of that too.
Right. So I can honestly say I could see any of those three options.
Yeah.
Not only being possible, but any of them are plausible.
Yeah. There's, I guess, a fourth one where he just died of neglect there. You know, he's a 75-year-old man, lived a little bit of a rough life, wasn't getting the best medical care, and then the prison covered it up and said he killed himself rather than admit that they have terrible substandard. That's also plausible. I don't know. And John McAfee led his life in such a way to leave everyone wondering to the very end on everything, what was real and what wasn't. So it's kind of fitting. I will tell you this. If Janice is not, two things. If he didn't, if he's not, I hope it is. I hope it is that he paid off a guard. Janice is doing this whole thing, and then she'll go and get to disappear and spend time with her husband. If it's not, and if he really is dead, then whichever one of those options it is, he's dead because of our tax system.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
So for anyone who says, "Oh, taxation's not extortion, it's voluntary," if you choose not to pay it, they'll put you in a prison and they'll let you rot there. So, and now we have some messages from Brian Lambrecht, which is.
Hey, Matt, Spike, how you guys doing? I know you've been busy. I haven't been able to get a hold of either of you guys for a while, but I thought I could leave a message for you here, and you guys would be able to hear this before the show tonight. Nothing's wrong. Nothing wrong at all. I just need to let you know about a situation that came up. I've been promoting the event in Mississippi this weekend, in Tunica. And everything was going great. I know, Spike, you did some interviews already. There might be a few more lined up. But some of the ones coming up are a little, they're a little weird. It's a little different. So the last press release I put out, it was fine, but some of the details got a little muddled, and I'm not sure how. I thought I had the information correct. I went through all the details, and in Tunica, I mean, who would have thought there were two convention centers in Tunica, and that they both would have an event going on this weekend? Believe it or not, the one Liberty event that's happening with the Mississippi Libertarian Party is happening at the one convention center, and the other one is having something else going on, and I accidentally put that address in the press releases. So I put the wrong address for all the newspapers, the radio stations, and the TV networks throughout the entire state of Mississippi. Wow. And they all looked up the wrong address, and that's where we're at right now. So we got some requests coming in, and it didn't make sense. And I went and I looked back at the press release that I put out, and it turns out that the other convention is FurCon. So yeah, it's a furry convention. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. We got some really weird interview requests. Furry Weekly reached out. A profile of Muddied Waters Media was added to WikiFur. Matt, you got some requests to be on some pretty big podcasts with some huge followings. So I put you down to appear on Tail Underground, Fur Talk, and Yiffing with Strangers.
This can't be real.
Spike, you on the other hand, the local CBS and NBC affiliates sent a list of questions, and the local CBS and NBC affiliates sent a list of questions, and I think you need to call them. I'm not sure where to go from here. They clearly have the wrong idea about what you're running for or what campaigns you were part of. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with this. And we're actually getting inundated with a lot of these things. And some of these questions, I don't think I'm qualified for this. So I'm going to forward them to you. We got 17, and I just need you to go through them and ask these questions about you and FurCon, and you're going to have to clarify some things. So, yeah, I apologize. It was a simple misunderstanding and a mistake, and I'm sure that we can get it cleared up this week before Mississippi. Thanks.
I'm going to choose to believe this isn't real, and I look forward to your appearance on Yiffing with Strangers.
You know, if Yiffing, I know lots of people who watch Yiffing with Strangers, so if they want to have me on, I'd be more than happy to come on.
Why do you know people that watch whatever that is?
Because Brian watches it.
I'm going to go on to the next thing here. I can't do this. That's not real. I don't believe that's real. I don't want that to be real. I already have people who think I'm a brony. Because I changed my name when I was 3. I haven't watched My Little Pony since I was 3.
It's like a Marine. Once you're a brony.
No, it's not.
You're never gonna give, like, you made the mistake by telling everybody you were a brony when you were 3 because you never get to take that back. Like, you're always going to be a brony.
Brony implies that you're an adult. I was a child I was a toddler who watched My Little Pony. That's a brony. You don't call a 3-year-old bro.
I 100% have called a 3-year-old bro.
All right. We're going to move past this. We're circling
bro,
away.
What are you thinking?
We're circling away. It's the opposite of circling back. We're circling away from this. So here is one from Matt Hicks. Here I am relieved from Matt Hicks' message.
Hey, guy on left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor calling moment. TM. So I just found out from a friend of mine in Kershaw County, South Carolina. Yes, you heard that right. Kershaw County, South Carolina, population of the entire county is probably somewhere around 30,000 people.
Right.
They have just had a deputy from the sheriff's office sworn in to the Secret Service task force so that they can now use federal assets to collect cell phone and computer data. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that yet, except not good. But I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Hashtag Laser Legend.
If it's happening there, that means it's happening all over the country.
It's happening everywhere. That's happening everywhere.
Hey, guess how that's being funded?
With your COVID relief dollars.
With your COVID relief money. I'm going to do some more Joe Biden ASMR. We're giving substantial money to the police so that they can enforce our rules against you even harder. I wrote the bill.
Yeah, that's part of the tripling of Donald Trump's.
Yeah. So this is what happens.
Oh God, Jen Psaki telling everybody if they wanted to defund the police, they should have voted for Trump.
Voted Republican.
Oh.
If you are a progressive and you ever vote Democrat again, you're not a progressive. You certainly don't care about criminal justice reform. You're just a lackey for the Democratic Party. And trust me, we rib on Republicans and conservatives all the time on this show.
All the time.
If you want limited government, you are a schmuck for voting Republican. Okay? Like that. So trust me, this is not exclusive. But we're going to talk about you for a minute. If you are a progressive who votes Democrat, Jen Psaki literally just told you should vote Republican if you want police accountability. And Joe Biden's giving money to your local police department to collect your data for the federal government.
To spy on you.
To spy on you for the federal government. There's no way that's going to be used way wildly disproportionately against poor people and people of color and other marginalized people. There's no way. That's definitely going to be used against those rich white insurrectionists, right? Not against you. Definitely not against you. So, all right, here's another one from...
You and Tucker Carlson.
Sure. You and Tucker Carlson.
Did you not hear about that?
I heard bits and pieces that he was spied on, that they were collecting information from. Listen, any, and I'm not excusing this, but this is standard issue. If you're a newsmaker out there in any real way, there's a file on you, they're checking you. I'm sure they're checking me. I've been on TV at this point. I'm sure they're checking all of us.
There's a file on all of us.
Yeah.
I think that he's being spied on in the exact same way that you or me or anybody in the comments is being spied on. He just knew somebody at the NSA who said, yeah, we have a file on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like the 30,000 people in Kershaw County are being spied on. They are collecting information, your every single electronic communication and all of your data, and they're just collecting it. Not for any kind of anti-terrorism purposes, because it's impossible to be able to sift through all of that at once and find terrorism. In fact, it actually distracts them from being able to stop extremists and terrorists and so forth. They're literally keeping it so they got a file on you that they can use against you.
Yep.
That's literally all it is. So here's one from Chris Darnell.
Hello. This is the Bootleg Libertarian. I am asking to see, who do you think will win trivia tonight? There's a lot of great people, excluding myself, that will be involved. Who do you think will win each round, and who do you think will take home the grand prize?
Let me take a look at the rounds. I think I know who's going to win it all.
Who is it that's participating again? It's me, you, Nullick, Noel, I guess the Bootleg Libertarian. Sorry, I said his name. Yeah, it's the Bootleg Libertarian. Thomas Queter and Tony DeRazio, right?
And Jack Casey.
And Jack Casey.
Oh, and Ashley Smoot.
And Ashley Smoot?
Ashley Greer Smoot.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And also Sarah Anderegg.
Yes.
I think Sarah's going to win it. No, I think honestly, I think Tony DeRazio is going to win.
I think
because it's
Tony
all
DeRazio
like
is gonna win it all.
libertarian stuff, right?
I think the round one, it's Thomas in round one. It's me, Eskimo, and Chris Darnell.
Okay. In round two, who is it? Oh, well, who do you think's going to win round one?
That's tough. Not Chris Darnell. I think it's between me and Nolik.
Okay. And then
round
who's
two
round
is
two?
you, Tony DeRazio, and Ashley Smoot.
I think Tony's going to win that.
And then round three is Thomas Queta, Jack Casey, and Superfan Sarah.
I think I'm going to go with Thomas there. And then is there like a championship round or?
Yeah, and then I think there's another round after. I'm not 100% sure how this is working.
Okay.
So
I
like
think...
Jack Casey, I could see winning it because people who write usually have a lot of useless knowledge. So it really depends on what the questions are.
And he
So
doesn't have to work
could
because he's a cult leader, so he just has a lot of time to like study things. Yeah,
he's an author. He wrote some
author
books.
of books. These
TheRoyalGreen.com.
Books, RoyalGreen.com. I'm going with Tony DeRazio. I think that's
Tony
DeRazio
DeRazio
right there. Yep. Yeah, I think Tony. Here's one last one, and you can find out tonight on Libertarian Jeopardy right here on Muddy Waters Media shortly after this show ends.
Shortly after this show ends.
Shortly after, just enough time for me to get my food together. Here's one more thing from Bootleg Libertarian.
Also, I look forward to seeing y'all this weekend in Tunica, and safe travels.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing you.
I got my tickets for the gun show.
Huh? I have no good segue to this. I'm just outraged.
No.
Eminent domain.
So
go ahead.
So
this is a nightmare.
First of all, I thought
you're probably wondering, hey, why should the police have all this ability to like control us and enforce things at will with all this federal funding? There's no way they're going to use that for absolutely terrible things that will benefit only the absolute wealthiest people in the country, right, Matt?
Right. So I do not know how to say this name, so I'm guessing here. Eichner.
Probably
I'm going to go with Eichner. I like Eichner. Eichner versus Chicago was passed on by the Supreme Court this week. And this is just one of the many mistakes that have happened over the course of the last 16 years when it comes to eminent domain. Fred Eichner owned a tract of land in Chicago's River West neighborhood, 2 blocks north of a factory owned and operated by the Bloomer Chocolate Company. I should have looked up how to say these things. By a chocolate company. Think Willy Wonka is stealing land from people. Well,
yeah.
You cannot tell me Willy Wonka wasn't evil. He murdered like 5 children in his...
They should have listened.
So the company wanted Eichner's land to create a buffer with nearby residential areas. And he was like, no, I'm not going to sell that to you for $824,000 and $824,980,000, whatever that number is. 2 months later, Chicago went, yeah, sorry, buddy. This is going to make the area better. So you're just going to have to do that. And it planned to invoke its eminent domain power to transfer Eichner's property to the company. And Chicago identified it identified in ostensible public use. The city needed to travel the land to the factory because otherwise it may become a blighted area.
That, for those keeping score, that's the government deciding to steal your land from you and give it to someone else because they think you're going to turn it into a blighted area.
Or that you are going, not that you're going to turn it, just that if these people don't get it, it will become a blighted area. And it's not that it is a blighted area.
Yeah.
That it might
be one.
Be one.
Yeah.
And many of you are probably sitting there thinking, how is this possible? This can't be real. There is.
Nope.
That doesn't sound constitutional at all. And you would be right. But this is all possible because of Kello versus New London in 2005. The same year that Bill Cosby signed a non-prosecutorial agreement.
It's all coming together.
With the state or Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This happened in New London, Connecticut.
Your theory confirmed.
New London, Connecticut approved an integrated development plan to revitalize its economy in Respondent City through its development agent, purchased most of the property earmarked for the project from willing sellers, but initiated condemnation proceedings when petitioners, the owners of the rest of the properties, refused to sell. Now, at the time, New London was not an upscale area. I don't know if it is now. And they had a factory that shut down. A company that you hear all the time about in the news today because they made a vaccine, decided that they wanted to open up their factory there. But in order to do that, they wanted to make like a river walk and like increase some business. And New London said, well, yeah, that could potentially help our area become less distressed.
Yeah. And increase tax revenue. Yeah.
Right. So Suzette Kello and 8 other property owners sued the city in state court, challenging the use of eminent domain for the project. They argue that because their properties were being taken for sale to private entities, yes, that's what was happening. It was being sold. Part of it was being sold to Pfizer, who was going to own all of that. And then they were going to rent the property on top of it to the different businesses. The takings were not for public use as required by the Fifth Amendment.
Because they weren't. Because that's not public use.
Some would argue that Suzette Kello was right. The trial court partially granted the plaintiff's requests for an injunction. Partially. Where the city had planned to use the property to support the park and marina, the court found that the taking was not a valid exercise of eminent domain.
So basically the only part that could even be remotely construed as public use.
Right.
Yeah.
Not eminent domain.
Yeah.
But the takings were held valid for parcels where the city planned to put office space.
Private office space. That's the part they said was okay. Yeah.
Right. And a 5-4 Supreme Court majority sided with trial court and allowed a local government to bulldoze the working class neighborhood so that private developers would have a blank slate in order to build a luxury hotel, a conference center, and other amenities. Now, if this sounds like the exact opposite of what eminent domain is supposed to be used for, there are many people out there who agree with you. In fact, a few years ago, on the exact same day, Maxine Waters spoke against this ruling. This was the same day that Rush Limbaugh, the man who probably agreed with Maxine Waters once, spoke against this ruling for the same reasons.
Yep.
So according to the Supreme Court, this unsavory land grab qualified as a legitimate use of the city's eminent domain powers because the city has carefully formulated an economic development plan that it believes will provide appreciable benefits to the community.
Tax revenue.
Tax revenue.
Because again, they left out the park and marina. The one thing that you could even begin to, which even that would be unjustified, but even remotely begin to say, well, it's for the community, a park and a marina. Who doesn't love parks and marinas? They'd said no to that part, but the office space part. So when they're saying appreciable benefits to the community, they mean tax revenue. They mean that your house can be stolen from you if someone wants to build something on it that will generate more tax revenue.
Well, they don't sell it that way. They say,
well,
this is going to create jobs for the community. But that means tax revenue.
That means tax revenue.
According to Justice John Paul Stevens, what really mattered was city officials had a plan and that they firmly believed that their plan was in the city's best interest.
More on that later.
Yeah. All that the Supreme Court had left to do, according to Stevens, was grant the government officials broad latitude in determining what public needs justify the use of the broad latitude in determining what public needs justify the use of the taking powers. So that means that if your local government says, we really need an ice cream shop where your house is, because according to environmental studies and whatever else, whatever studies they do, it would do really well right where your house is. And we think it would be good for the economy and it would be good for the city because we need ice cream there and it would create jobs.
And because we did an economic impact study and created a plan. More on that plan later, by the way.
So after this travesty, this absolute travesty of a judgment by the Supreme Court, New York, the state, proceeded to tear down homes and businesses in order to make way for the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're still the Nets. I don't remember. Brooklyn's basketball team.
Yeah.
Just tore it down because they needed a basketball arena there and it was going to be good for the economy, the local economy. Homes and businesses in Harlem were ripped up in order to make extra campus space for Columbia University. And many of you out there might be thinking, isn't Columbia a private university that charges exorbitant fees for people to go there? And can't they afford this to purchase land on their own? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and guess who was primarily targeted for the tear down of homes and businesses in the progressive utopia of New York City? Mostly
In
poor
Brooklyn
black
and-
and brown people.
Yeah, in Brooklyn and Harlem.
First, but also not the first time that's happened. Central Park is where there used to be the black communities in New York City. They tore that up, and so to make sure to never do that again, they literally did it again. And this time, they didn't even do it for a park. They did it for highly profitable major private businesses, and you can thank the Kelo decision for that.
Yep. Now, you might be thinking, I'm certain that it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg who was fighting so hard against Kelo back in the day.
Mhm.
And you, my friend, would be wrong. This was how the Supreme Court ruled in the Brooklyn Arena case. I jumped ahead a little bit. Any such limitation upon the sovereign power of eminent domain as it has come to be defined in the urban renewal context is a matter for the legislature, not the courts. Read that. I'm going to read that again. Any such limitation upon the sovereign power of eminent domain as it has come to be defined in the urban renewal context is a matter for the legislature, not the courts. That means that your local governments now get to decide, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
We can just
they're right. Because of Kelo, they're right. It is now your local city council that gets to go, hey, good news, bad news. Good news. We got this really great plan. We hired a architect and a economic advisor, and we did an impact study. And it turns out, here's where the bad news is: we got to take your land and use it to build a mini mall, theme park, whatever the hell, expansion for some major business. You're going to get pennies on the dollar what its actual market value would be if you held out. Because that's the thing. People will say, oh, well, it's okay because they're getting money. No. You have a situation where the city government's deciding what your property's worth based usually on its assessment value, which is usually very, very low, instead of what its actual market value would be, which is what happens when a big business comes to you and the first 5 or 6 times you say, no, I like it here. And so they have to actually offer you really good money, more than what you would sell it for in normal circumstances. And now you get robbed of that opportunity, or to just say, no, I don't want to do it. And I don't care if you want to expand your theme park or whatever. As Clarence Thomas said, this petition, the Eichener versus Chicago, provided us the opportunity to correct the mistake that the court made in the Kelo decision. That decision was wrong the day it was decided. It remains wrong today. Failure to step in today not only disserves the Constitution and our precedent, it also leaves in place a legal regime that benefits those citizens with disproportionate influence and power in the political process, including large corporations and development firms, especially large corporations and development firms. Now, you might be saying, probably not, but you might be saying, yeah, but Spike, but at least one good thing is that all this development's happening and it's benefiting the citizens, right? Because, government's good at economic development. Well, let's go back to Kelo. Guess what's happening with that property? Just guess. Matt, you want to take a guess at how that property's doing that was seized and they bulldozed an entire residential community? Guess what's going on with that property right now?
I'm guessing not a lot. I'm guessing that Pfizer, the company who was opening the plant there, the whatever.
Yep.
I'm betting that Pfizer came in, did not put forth any money towards the project, and the project sort of died. That's my guess.
You are a very smart man. You might win Jeopardy tonight because that land is still vacant. Not the factory part. They definitely built that. But the part that they sold on the public.
The factory was already there. The factory was already there.
Oh, okay. But they were going to do a additional. Yeah. So that part never happened. It's still vacant now. Something like 16 years. Yeah, 16 years later.
16 years later.
It's still vacant. It's not going to be developed. And by the way, why would you develop something in New London, Connecticut, if you know that the city can step in and just steal it from you? It turns out that when the government lets everyone know that they can just take stuff from you whenever they want to be able to give it to someone more powerful, no one wants to do anything there. Because central planning is a uniquely terrible way to do economic development. And this is yet another example. It's immoral. It violates your rights. It is straight up theft by taking. It also doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's the note we're ending this show on.
That's the great news that we have chosen.
That's the great news, everyone.
Great news, everyone.
Joe Vasquez says the government isn't good at anything except wasting money. Yeah, and killing people. Although they're not really efficient at killing people. They just do it a lot. But yeah, they're really good at wasting money. And putting people in cages. Yeah. Again, a lot of the stuff that they do, it's not necessarily that they're good at it or efficient at it. That's really all they do. But the wasting money part, no, they're fantastic at that.
Yeah. Just wonderful at that. Great at wasting money.
Yeah.
Great at wasting money and kicking poor people out of their houses.
Something Andrea's mentioning. It's called smart growth. And this is, the Cato Institute has talked about this. So this is called the smart growth plan. And if the county does this, they get federal money. So they actually get federal incitement to do this. So not only do they get, the cronies pushing them to steal your property, but the federal government helps offset it. And that doesn't matter if you vote Republican or Democrat. You get more and more of that. This is not going to end until we take government back for the people and take the power back for the people and dismantle all of this stuff. It's not going to come from the same fake champions who show up and go, oh, I'm going to vote for justice. I'm going to fight for justice. I'm going to fight for smaller government. No, they're not. No, they're not. Their parties, their respective parties would not let them rise to a level of prominence if they actually did it. Look what they did to Justin Amash. Look what they do to Thomas Massey anytime he tries to really do anything of any real import. Look what they turned Rand Paul into. They're not going to do it. That party's not going to do it. We have to replace all of them.
Yeah.
So, speaking of replacing all of them.
If you want really great news.
Okay.
In just a few minutes, as soon as we're done here, you can find us. I think right here, actually. You don't even have to change the channel.
You don't even have to go anywhere.
We will be right back here
on Muddy
for
Waters.
Libertarian Jeopardy.
Libertarian Jeopardy. It says 10, but it's already past 10. How weird that we'd be late to something. And so as soon as this ends...
Superfan Sarah Anderegg is taking calls about how we're late.
Oh, whatever. Hey, welcome to Muddy Waters Media, folks. So, folks, so we're going to be starting Libertarian Jeopardy. So, folks, be sure to tune into that. Matt, you have... tomorrow is My Fellow Americans, and we have a guest cooked up for you. You're not going to believe who it is, because I don't know yet. But we have a great guest tomorrow at 8 p.m. And then on Thursday, you have the Writer's Block. Who's your guest?
I do. I have Vicky Rose. Vicky Rose is going to be talking about the Tunica event.
The Tunica event. Vicky Rose, head of the Mississippi Libertarian Party, and then we will be seeing you hopefully. And if you aren't there physically, we'll be live streaming, I'm sure, quite a bit from the Tunica event in Horseshoe Casino, the right one, not the furry one. And we will see you there. Sunday at 3, tune in for an episode of Cajun and Eskimo.
They are doing Friday this week.
Oh, they're doing Friday? Oh, because it's going to be at the event.
Right.
Okay, so Friday this week. Do you know what time?
No.
You're not going to believe what time. So that's on Friday. And then Monday is the next episode of Mr. America, the Bearded Truth.
I think that's the Monday after. I think he's doing every
okay, starting the following. Okay, so next Tuesday, right back here, same muddy place, same muddy time. Spike Cohen, Matt Wright, Jason freaking Lyon, Mr. America, the Bearded Truth himself. We're going to be torturing him for some reason. I don't know why, but tune in for that. And so we'll see you in just...
Tune Inica this weekend.
I don't want to do this show anymore. I'm done with this show. I don't want to do
That's what you get for Jason for doing James Ray's thing last week.
Sure. So Matt, if someone wanted to find more terrible puns like that on the internet, is that even possible? And if so, how? Don't ever, please.
It would be possible.
Stop saying that. That and Usix. If I never hear Tuninica or Usix ever again, it'll be too soon.
All one would have to do is go to anchor.fm/muddied waters.
I wrote the bill. Pay them more.
While you can hear all of our episodes at anchor.fm/muddied waters.
1.9 trillion episodes.
And you can... I'm getting dirty looks from superfan Sarah Anderegg. But you can leave us messages that we will play live on the show. If you are...
Answer your questions. We love you.
We love you. And if you are so inclined, you can leave us money that would be instrumental in helping us eat.
It's consequential.
Consequential.
Survive. You can give us consequential money.
You could.
Money of consequence.
Or you can find this in every other episode of muddywatersmedia.com.
Muddywatersmedia.com. Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in just a few more minutes for Libertarian Jeopardy. And we thank you so much again for tuning in. We'll see you soon. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.